tryna say I'm only in the meeting. Got a code with my dogs, can get in between. I can give them life, no more energy. Amen. Amen.
What's up, everybody? We got another Game 7 today. Hopefully it's better than yesterday's. We got the Rockets and the Warriors. And on top of that, we get to start a new series over in the Eastern Conference, one that should be one of the more interesting ones, at least from an entertainment perspective. We got the Cavs and Pacers, high-powered matchup, high-paced. And yeah, we'll get right into things. We got the Cavs and Pacers as the first game of the day, Game 1. And a lot to talk about because they played 4 times this season. 2 of them were at the end. Both teams were kind of throwing it away. It was basically a G League All-Star game at the end of the game. The first 2 was in January. Ty Jerome didn't play in either game. Max Strus was still being integrated into the team, and DeAndre Hunter wasn't there. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, JJ, but I think Tyrese Halliburton might have missed one of the games.
Yeah, he missed one of the games. I think it was the third game. I know he got hurt in the second game.
Yep, I think that's what I was trying to think of. So we can't talk as much about like who recorded what stats in those games, but we can talk about schemes. And the first thing I want to talk about is how the Pacers were defending the Cavs, because the Pacers have been showing a lot of help in the pick and roll, and the Cavs counter to that has kind of been whatever side they're showing help from, the corner man clears out, and then that way the guy who's getting helped off of has just an empty wing with nobody to contest his shot. He slides deeper into the corner, so his guy has a much longer contest to track back for once the shot goes out or once the pass is made. And it's basically an open 3. So that's, you're thinking Sam Merrill, Max Strus, Ty Jerome probably in some spots, whoever's not handling the pick and roll between Garland and Mitchell. Like, because it's usually a double screen with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. They're running like a variation of a horns action. So the shooters for the Cavs are very much in play, not to mention the transition 3 upside coming from just the fast-paced nature of the Pacers. So shout out to the Basketball She Wrote podcast. That was kind of the one that put me onto that. But it is something that I think we're going to see at least early in the series, and then it's going to be interesting to see how these teams adjust. Because the only other, if they're going to show all this attention to Garland and Mitchell, not only does it leave the shooters open, but Evan Mobley now comes into a new opportunity, because last series Bam Adebayo was defending him, and it was very clear the game plan for Miami was Bam Adebayo was not going to help off of Mobley. If somebody was driving to the rim, while Bam Adebayo usually provides the rim protection and helps there, he was not doing that. So Evan Mobley basically didn't touch the ball in the half court. He was used as a decoy. I don't think that happens here, so I do think we do see a good bounce back from him in game 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think they definitely, I don't necessarily think they'll need like a huge bounce back, but I think we'll for sure see a bounce back just based off the matchups alone. I think DeAndre Hunter can be in a good spot here. I think one of the things that I know everyone wants to know is like Garland, right? Because he had that toe injury, but it looks like he's been having some practices. He's had some contact practices, and then he missed practice. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday. It looked like Thursday, non-contact practice, Friday, full contact practice, and then Saturday was a planned rest day. Like, there was no setback. The whole plan was always for him to rest on Saturday.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to be good to go for this game, but even though he's still questionable, and I think people are like overreacting to like that rest day practice that you mentioned. If he ends up not playing, just out of hypotheticals, like who do you think gets thrown into the starting lineup? Do you think it's gonna be Sam Merrill again, like in the Miami series, or do you think they switch it up?
I think so. Because that was kind of happening throughout the regular season too. It felt like the first like 3 times it happened, it was like, wait, why is Sam Merrill starting over like a Hunter or a Coro? But now that it happened 5 or 6 times, and then it happened again in the Heat series, I think that's kind of what they're committing to, because it's not like he's starting and playing 35 minutes. He's still only playing 20 minutes. So I think it has more to do with the construction of the starting 5 guys more so than like who's getting more minutes, because they're still going 9 deep. At least they were last year.
And I think it'd be interesting if Sam Merrill does start, if Garland ends up not playing, because then, Halliburton always defends the weakest defender on the team, like a lower usage player. Would you think he goes on Strus to defend or on Merrill?
I think he'd go on. Still feel like he'd go on Struce,
Because if he ends up
but
going on Merrill, I'd love to have him just run so many off ball screens and different actions.
yeah,
Well,
it might be Merrill because I know the Heat. That's what they did. They did Merrill instead of Struce, so that it
mhm,
could go either way, honestly.
yeah,
But what are you seeing on the Pacers side? I think that's where it gets a little bit more difficult for me because I
it
think the
definitely
Cavs
is
do go
difficult.
zone. The Cavs.
Yeah,
So I don't know how that affects Tyrese, whether that means more shooting and more facilitating.
it's probably gonna be a little bit of both. Um, I mean, compared to the Bucks series, the Cavs have a lot more like better on ball defenders here compared to the Bucks. Um, Obviously the Bucks wanted to attack zone defense as well, and that's exactly what they tried to do. It worked most of the time, but yeah, we're just not going to talk about the Bucks. The Bucks are the Bucks.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to say like what this offense is exactly going to do because Aaron Neesmith didn't play either the January games and he came back. I think he's going to be an important piece. I think he needs to get going, like especially like those corner threes. If they're going to be attacking the zone, he has to get going somehow. Um, I mean, we got playoff Nemhard. He's been doing what he does. I think he's probably going to be the guy to probably attack Garland. Um, but as far as like Tyrese Halliburton, he just has to be aggressive here. I know his teammates have been telling him that like he just has to be on go mode. I think that's exactly what happens.
Yep. I know the Pacers struggled against the zone last time, so I'll be interested to see where they go to. If I were them, what I think would make a lot of sense is putting Siakam in the middle of the zone
Yep.
because man to man, Siakam's going to have Mobley on him, and that's trouble. So then if they go zone, it's better to have Siakam in the middle of the zone than Miles Turner. And Jared Allen's not going to want to step up and pick him up at the free throw line. Mobley, like if Mobley does, then it's no different than man to man, anyways. But if Jared Allen
Yeah.
doesn't, you get Siakam in that mid range that he wants to take, anyways. That's what I'd do if I were them. But I do think the Cavs have too many shot makers for the Pacers to defend in that style. And if they defend in any other style, then it opens the door to a lot of Garland and Mitchell that I don't know if the Pacers are built to defend against because they don't have enough of the rim protection to send big man help in terms of like if they send big man help onto Garland and Mitchell on the drive, that's where Jared Allen and Evan Mobley get involved. If they don't, then it's just Garland and Mitchell going to work themselves. So I do think Cavs are able to take care of business. Huge rest advantage. The Pacers are coming off an overtime game for what it's worth, so there is all that. Let's get to the Warriors game, Game 7.
Let's do it.
I gotta say, I don't know what there is to talk about that we haven't already talked about. I mean, Houston's double big, just absolutely dominating. They used Adams for 31 minutes last game. We've been banking on them doing that. They finally did it. They took care of business. Probably going to do it again today. I don't know that the Warriors have a real answer for it outside of Curry just going Curry mode, but now he has that thumb injury, so he's going to just basically have to not be able to feel it to do it.
Yeah. I think he just has to go for 40 here. Like,
Yeah.
if they want a chance to win.
Like Butler
Unless
damn near went
Jimmy
for 30.
Butler gets to the line like 15 times, I mean, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and
That
it's
zone
Tony
defense has
Butler.
really been picking them apart. Like, they're implementing that zone defense very well with it. They always have a body on somebody, even if they're switching and even when they're like penetrating off the dribble, they're still getting bodies on everybody. Like, that defense looks very good right now. And it's going to be tough for the Warriors. They tried to insert Gary Payton into the lineup to slow down Fred, and that still didn't work. He went for a series high 29 points for himself. So I don't think they go back to that. They probably insert Paz back into the starting lineup. But the Warriors are running out of options to throw. I honestly don't know what else they could change here.
I think it's going to have to be Pods coming back because the way I see it, Draymond's going to make sure Steph and Jimmy get the ball. The issue is Steph and Jimmy are going to need an outlet. Otherwise, they're just going to get blitzed, and it's not going to matter whether they get the ball or not. Because if Jimmy's getting the ball in the post and there's nobody to pass out to, he's just going to get blitzed. If Steph's coming off a down screen and there's no other threat for him to pass off to once he touches it, he's going to get blitzed. He's going to have a guy going over and a guy at the level. So it's kind of a mess for them, and their only outlet is really the potential of not just another shooter, but another playmaker that can punish space. Because Buddy Hield can make threes. Gary Payton can make corner threes. But if you just say, hey, 4v3 basketball, the ball's in your hands, Pods is really the only one that can cause trouble there. So I think we do need to see them go back to Pods a little bit more. And then, I mean, Adams and Sengun are going to keep dominating the glass. They've been using Sengun more as a hub the last few games rather than getting the ball to him, which I kind of like. It's been helping them a little bit more. It forces him out of those bad shots that I hate him taking. Speaking of bad shots, though, Jalen Green, we gotta. You have an empty side ISO, 15 on the shot clock. Why are we taking a step back over Jimmy Butler from deep? Just if you can't beat your guy, it's okay to just pass it. You don't have to get a shot up. It's really troubling.
He's had his moments where he makes really like smart plays, and then the others is just dumbfounded.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the only other point to touch on, Tony Brothers is the crew chief here, and because I know like the last couple games we've been pointing out the ref stats, and it looks like they've been very helpful. Because I think I forget who the chief was last game for yesterday's game for the Denver game, but favored the home team as far as like point differential and win percentage. And I mean, hey, Denver went crazy.
Denver took care of it.
Yes, they did.
All right, so
favors the home team here as well with Tony Brothers. So looking like Rockets again.
I was about to say, so we got Rockets tonight then?
It's looking like Rockets tonight.
All right, Curry gives up another 3-1 comeback. Let's see it. But parlay time. Cavs spread. I said they're going to take care of business. I'm biased, but there was no bias in this pick, I promise you. There's actually a decent amount of systems that support that. Max Strus, 2-3. I talked about them helping at the nail, and it ends up with a wing shooter being wide open on an empty side. I'm expecting that to be Strus here. And then Pods, 10-plus points. Whether Gary Payton starts again or not, Pods got 9 field goal attempts in 28 minutes last game. And honestly, like, he should have had more. And I do think he sees more today. I do think he sees more minutes. And I do think there's a realistic chance he inserts back into the starting lineup. Not to mention Gary Payton is questionable with an illness as of like an hour of recording this video. So there's a lot of upside there. Obviously, we watered it down a little bit since we're putting in a parlay. His 10.5 points at their straight line is playable as well. He just had a few games that we were looking at where he finished right on 10. So we thought we'd buy it down a little bit. So make sure you lock that in. Make sure you like, subscribe. Yesterday was a disaster. Today we get it back. Good luck. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Take care, everybody.